Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday, y'all. Happy Saturday. It's your girl Lorna, your host of the Success Code Fireside Chat. So welcome to another Saturday morning. Wow, wow, wow. We made it, y'all. You have no idea.
Right. Right.
So now, if you've been with me for a while, you know what I'm going to say. It's been a doozy of a week, but let me tell you something. Yesterday was the biggest doozy of all. Okay.
Wow.
So let me tell you, I'm going to share with you briefly. This week has been challenging because it's testing my leadership. Y'all know me. I work on my leadership every single day,
Yeah.
right? And yesterday was like, what in heaven's name is happening? And if you follow me, I teach y'all, nothing ain't happening over there, it's all happening in here. So I had to sit on and check myself, y'all. I had to sit down and check myself because what was happening was so unusual. And it was happening in my real estate business. And I was having this experience that I've never had in the 24 years of doing real estate. So for me, it was like, holy moly, and the impact it's going to have should I take some specific actions, it's going to be tremendous. If I take action on what happened yesterday, being responsible, it's going to impact the whole industry.
Wow.
It really is. It really is. Because what happened was such an anomaly, or maybe it's happening and nobody's talking about it, but what happened yesterday should not have happened. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sharing this with you, and I can't give you details because it involves attorneys and all the things, right? But I'm sharing it with you to say, when things are happening, it's not just the happening. The happening is to give you awareness, to say, okay, look at it. And I'm so excited that you can't make this stuff up. I say that all the time too, right? You can't make this stuff up. It's so appropriate that I'm having this conversation and sharing this episode with you, this incident with you, because we have the neuro coach herself on the show today, right? So, but let me finish this. If we are responsible for how we feel and everything that's happening around us, it'll shift everything. Everything.
So
right?
true. Yeah.
So I hope you're hearing responsibility. I hope you're hearing managing emotions. I hope you're hearing track it, be aware, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the week started. And that's how it ended. So welcome again to the Success Goal Fireside Chats, where we have conscious leadership. It's meeting business and real talk, and we do more real talk than anything else on this show. So I'm super excited that you're here. Thank you for those who come back every week. Thank you for those who listen to the replay. Thank you for those who share. Thank you for those who subscribe. And I can't see who is on right now. Oh, Carol. I love that.
I didn't hear it. Blocked out. The sound blocked out.
Oh, Eric. Eric is on.
Hey, Eric. Awesome.
Yes. So, welcome to the show, Carol. I want to introduce to you guys Carol Register. Carol is a neuro coach. She has a method that she has trademarked that she uses to support her clients to shift their mindset so that their money flows. So I'm super excited that she's here today. And hey, Carol, just jump in and tell people briefly a little bit about who you are, and then we'll jump in and have the conversation today. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've all found ourselves in super challenging situations, right? And I found myself alone overseas unexpectedly with a brand new business, brand new culture, brand new language. So I operate internationally. I have 4 businesses. I operate in 2 different languages. And but when I got there was a big surprise. My husband unexpectedly passed away, and we were in 6 countries at the time, Lorna, and I had to be an instant financial expert. We didn't have a family office. There was a variety of reasons why the circumstances caused things to fall completely on my shoulders. And so that's one of the things I'm so passionate about. That's why I do what I do, because stepping into those shoes, I made tons of mistakes along the way. And if you've been in a challenging situation, you just like what you were talking about yesterday. You're like, you feel a little bit lost. Like, this is new. Our mind, body, spirit goes into uncertainty. Oh, what the heck do I do here? So yeah, I love now doing what I do, and that's a big part of the beginning of my story here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And one of the things that I think people get to understand is that the growth only comes with the challenge, right? Because if you're not challenged, you're not growing. Yes, I said it. If you're not, I told you it's real talk, Carol.
Yeah.
If you're not challenged, you're not growing. Think about it, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
If you're only in one state all the time for all of your life.
Right. How boring would that be, right? One of the ways I look at that, actually, Lorna, talking about real talk, is it's from the neuroscience perspective. It's the way we're designed and wired. So when we are growing, we are going to be uncomfortable. And that's one of the things I love with my clients is I provide tools to help put that system to work better for us. So to take us through the discomfort. And here's what I want to share. Really, this is so incredibly important. I lost somebody dear to me to suicide, and it was my baby brother, super successful man. And the thing is, this system is to help you not to make permanent decisions in temporary situations. It's to help you to understand that you matter and that you can walk through challenges in a very successful way. And we were talking about emotional quotient, right? Emotional intelligence and the leadership. And that is so incredibly important, to be able to handle those things that may trigger us or that may make us feel like giving up, because we all face that. Every single one of this on this planet at some time, at least in my limited knowledge, have felt like giving up. And so it's
I want you to say that. I want you to say that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want you to say that again. At the beginning of your statement, you said you do not make decisions. So say that again.
Do not make permanent decisions in a temporary situation.
Yes.
Because that's what happened to my brother. He made a permanent decision in a temporary situation. And I'm a big believer in spirit. I heard from him afterwards, and he wasn't happy about his decision. Now he's fine, as far as what I believe that I received from him. But the thing is that's so important to understand is we can do that in our day-to-day business decisions. We can do that in our relationships, where it's like, that's it, I'm done, I'm walking out. And it's not a thoughtful, intentional process that's meant to be for the highest good of all.
I know. Oh my gosh, you are so relating to me right now. Just that one statement that you said, I immediately came to my mind 2 scenarios in my life that that could be related to what you just said about making permanent decisions in temporary situations. I also had my cousin passed away from suicide. And he was only 21 years old. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the second piece of it was when my husband left the house that we were in for over 40 years. That was such a permanent decision. And then wanted to retract the permanent decision. Right. That's why you got to really think about it. So even in the situation yesterday, I had to really walk through all those pieces. So I'm so aware of this right now, because it's real. It's like present for me, right? Remember, nothing's happening over there. So
You know,
Carol, go ahead. You had
I
something you
wanted
were going
to ask you in that situation, with your emotions, like
to. Yeah.
when you're in uncertainty or even when you're triggered, like what are some of the tools that you use to interrupt that?
So for me, because I live in awareness, sometimes sometimes I have the self-talk as to, oh my gosh, okay, Lorna, why are you overthinking this? But it's not an overthinking because I'm asking questions. When you're
Mm,
overthinking, you're not asking questions,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I ask myself questions, right? But well, first I breathe. I literally just
yeah,
stop and breathe
yeah.
first. Then I ask myself questions.
Mm,
What's happening? What is this teaching me? What am I supposed to see from this? I literally walk through those questions in my head. I know it's weird, but that's what I do. I got to stop first. Because if I don't stop first, then I'm not experiencing the emotion. Because I got to experience the emotion. One of the things I teach my clients is you got
yeah,
to feel the emotion. Most people
absolutely.
try to
Yeah, yeah,
stuff it down, right?
yeah.
Bad move.
Doesn't
Stuff
work, right? It doesn't work. It what it does is it just goes back into our subconscious and it's operating there unawares. And we're
unaware.
still making decisions from it. We're just not aware of it, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so when we validate what we're experiencing, I think that is really critical. And I teach the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
It's not about focusing on it because what we focus on does grow. It's counterintuitive. When we gain the awareness of it, it actually helps us to be able to neutralize and erase those limiting thoughts, that
Yeah,
inner critic, and be able to move forward without focusing on it.
yeah,
So funny, right? So
yeah.
ironic.
It's
But
so counterintuitive
it is. It really
because
is.
most people think, and don't get me wrong, I get into those states sometimes, but
Mhm.
again, my awareness is so high that I can see it. I literally, it's like
Mhm.
I'm the observer.
Like you float up over. Yeah,
Yeah, right. And you watching yourself going like, girl, what are you doing?
I
Right?
know.
So it's and it's a practice. It's a practice. This is why I tell my clients all the time, you may do something one time, but
Yeah.
if you're not practicing it, and by the way, remember how you said that, well, both of us, we said they stuff it down
Yeah.
and continue to make the decisions from
Yeah.
that place. When you do, the second step of transformation is acknowledgement. Any emotion that you feel that you're not acknowledging, it's gonna keep coming up until you do. So
Exactly.
y'all hear me say, I collapse time for y'all. That was a collapse timer.
Yes. And one of the things that's really important to know is there are bridges into our subconscious. So we
Yes.
can gain awareness not only when we're hearing that inner critic and that voice,
Yeah.
chattering away,
Yeah.
but there are also other things that we can do. And the thing is, that's such a beautiful tool. It's such a powerful tool. And I
Mhm.
think one of the things we forget when we get into these challenging situations,
Mhm.
at least I did, I would give my power away when I
Oh,
would
girl. That.
be triggered, when I would lose
Mhm.
emotional control, when I would make, big decisions in temporary situations. And
Mhm.
thankfully, some of them have been not so permanent. It's been on a scale, right? But that's it. We don't recognize the power we have and how we can retain it. And we don't have to give it away to other people. And especially when
Mhm.
we're dealing with other hurt people, right? Because
Mhm.
hurt people, and healed people heal people. And
Mhm.
so when we're in those situations and we're facing that, we can really just remember who we are and the power that we have and not just give it away. And that's leadership. It is
Yeah.
leadership, you
Yeah.
know.
And that, and again, that takes practice, right?
Yes.
Because we've been so and y'all, if you've been with me for a while, you've heard me say it all the time. We've been so programmed to be in who we are. I was listening to something this morning, and I was actually at, and the relationship between what I was listening to this morning and where I was at on Thursday at an event. And it dawned on me as I was listening, oh my gosh, these women were all operating from their the values of their parents, and they don't even realize that they are.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And that's why I teach what I teach, Carol. I teach you how to find your own values, because when you walk in the values of other people, now don't get me wrong, those values may be in alignment with what your parents said, but you get to decide that. You don't get to stay in the programming part of it.
Yes.
And working through that takes a little bit of something, right? Because these ladies were talking and I'm listening to them. And when I heard the thing this morning, it triggered me to go back to the conversation. One woman, she was like, oh yeah, my dad was a financial advisor, and he was always it was something rigid that he was doing, and she picked it up. But I could hear that it wasn't her decision to pick it up. It was just because that's what her dad said. This is what you do.
That's the way it was done. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Yeah, regardless of whether you agree. Yeah,
exactly. So, so let me ask you a question. How did you come into your awareness of this way of being? How did you step into this powerful beingness that you're talking about? Because you just talked about giving away power, right? How did you find this path, this lane to go down?
There's a couple of different things. I was not living my own plans for my life, exactly what we're talking about. And they say up to 92% of our thoughts are actually given to us from other people. And the majority of our faulty program is wired in by the age of 8. And then we're making the majority of our decisions from that. And so the interesting thing about it for me was I began to start to spottily see a vision, and I had this awareness, oh, I am living everybody else's plans for my life. I'm not living my own. And it was an intuitive thing again. I'm blocking myself, but I don't exactly know how to get out of it. And I heard a podcast with somebody who became my mentor. She's got her PhD in neuropsychology, and she's who I'm certified through. She was on this podcast saying, you can actually remove your limiting beliefs. And I was like, what? You can do what? You can remove them? Because I had grown up with this religious programming that had taught me that I had to take life as it comes. I had to constantly be in a state of trial, or I wasn't doing things right. I had to constantly be reacting to life. I didn't have any neuroplasticity. I didn't have any control. I wasn't a co-creator in this universe. And as I started realizing that I can remove my limiting beliefs and going through a process to do that, and going through a process to regain my vision, my unique vision, that's when things really started to flow and happen for me. Then the second thing is through leadership, I did not think of myself as a leader and entered into the leadership program that you and I are both a part of. And I started to realize that if nothing else, I lead my life every day. The same is true for all of us. You are a leader because you lead your life every single day. And
no matter how, right? No matter how you're leading it, you are leading.
You're leading it. And so I begin to think in those terms. I begin to think of myself as a leader. And, I'm a loving, giving, powerful leader. And I begin to just really start to do the neuroscience work. And I was automatically in the wealth story because of having to be that instant financial expert. So that's when I figured out that I could put the two together, and I could put neuroscience with universal wealth laws. And that's when I began to change things in my own life, began a big healing journey. And now that's what I bring to my clients.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you just roped in the wealth part in the in the neuroscience. I was just about to ask you the question. When did you realize that, strategy was not enough, that you had to like combine both of them?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually, I'll add something to that, and
yeah.
these are core things that I teach, and it's that it really is identity, right? And you and I
We were
know that.
getting there. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, you're too much.
yeah,
Go
but
ahead. You're
but
leading right
then
in.
it's a process, and one of the things that was happening in my world was I teach that we're very integrated beings. We are integrated beings, whether I teach it or not, frankly. Um, JFK said, a rising tide raises all boats. So, what I discovered is when we go to work in any one area of our lives, we elevate all areas of our lives. And I began to notice that. I was focused in on my vision, starting to develop my own unique plan for my life, starting to heal some old trauma stories. And that's when, I began to realize that other areas of my life were elevating as well. Because when we think about it, it certainly is not just wealth. Abundance is health. Abundance is relationships.
Everything.
It's, freedom. And so it really came down then to what I just touched on. Who am I? And who I was core, and yet it's who I was becoming at the same time.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The becoming part is the journey, right? So
Yeah.
I love that you said that. I love how you said who you were versus who you are becoming, because
Yeah.
that's the piece, that's the bridge, right? The
Mhm.
bridge is the work, who you are now.
Yeah.
So I'm repeating what you're saying in a different way so that people who are listening, they can find themselves in where they are from this conversation, right?
Yeah.
If you've been in, and I'm going to say it out loud, if you've been in a situation for, let's say you're 30 years old and you're listening to this broadcast, right? And you're saying, what are they talking about? We're talking about you now sitting down with yourself and really making an analysis of your life and saying, okay, this is who I am, but is this who I am really? One of the other things I always teach is the answer is in the question. So you got to be asking the questions to be
Yeah.
able to get the answers, right? So I just want to like reiterate that for people so that they can really connect to this conversation, because it's a huge one. It's a huge one. And I appreciate you bringing your wisdom to it. So let's switch gears a little bit into talking about some of the myths that are around, especially in our world,
Yeah.
where the myth about let's just do more.
Yeah.
What do you got to say? What do you have to say about doing more? And like, what
I
patterns? Let me add to that. What are the patterns that you see in the
Yeah.
women that you're working with, who are working harder, but they still stay stuck in their stuff?
Yeah. So, let me talking about questions, and I'm right there with you. I believe the quality of our life is dependent on the quality of the questions. And I was asking small questions. So that's one of the areas that we can look at. What
Mhm,
kind of questions am I asking?
mhm.
And so I think really key here is, do we want to be taking one step in 20 directions, or do we want to be taking 20 steps in one direction?
Mm.
I think that's really key when we're looking at this. And then, as far as the work with doing, we become addicted to performance based acceptance. We become addicted to that.
Yes.
And it's our performance that we're gaining external approval and validation.
Validation. Yep, yep,
And
yep.
we haven't learned how to validate ourselves.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really about the inner work, right? And learning that wait, I have a brand new grandson and a granddaughter, and they when they arrive, they're not doing anything. Are they not valuable? We're valuable from birth. It's intrinsic. It's built in. We arrived valuable, and then we get these messages that we have to have something in order to do something, in order to be somebody. But
so
the truth is, we want to reverse that equation, and we want to be who we fully are and let the doing flow from that, and then the having comes.
You know what just came up for me, Carol? It's so every Saturday morning, at least one scripture comes out of me, and whether or not you're religious, it doesn't matter. Just listen to my words.
Yeah. No, I'm totally spiritual. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying
that to the audience. I said that to the audience who are listening.
Yeah.
But the scripture that just came up to me, and it's the one where it says, in order for you to enter I'm paraphrasing. In order for you to enter the kingdom of God, you must become as a little child.
That's right.
Right. So that's exactly what you just said in another way, right? Yeah. So and that is like a key, taking you back to who you've been.
Really are.
We said it before, right? Taking you back to who you've been, to become who you've always been. I know it sounds convoluted, but you got to go back to move forward. You know?
Yeah, it's about recognizing who you automatically are just because you arrived on the planet.
Just because you are. Yeah.
That's it. And it's, to me, it's getting back there and getting rid of all the noise that it's gotten in the way, that it says that you are not enough, I'm not enough. We constantly have to be on the treadmill doing more. And when your actions start to flow from who you are, your value, that internal value, the actions it flows in a whole different way. That's the part I love. And it doesn't mean it's without challenge, but it does mean that for me in my life, it has been an absolute paradigm shifter. So let's say, for example, you want to be operating at $100 million or above. Mm-hmm. Can you right now, with what you've got going on in your life, see yourself there? What's your set point? Is that even anywhere in your realm of possibility? Or is that something that you're, really actively thinking about? If you get there, are you going to be happy there?
Right.
Is it going to be satisfying?
That's a great question. I love that you asked it, because who taught Gay Hendricks, right? Gay Hendricks talks about the set point in the book. So y'all know every week I come on here, I give y'all a book to read. And if you come and work with me, you're gonna get books to read. That was Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap, right? So a lot of times, and this is why it's not working. And believe me, been there, done that. One of my mentors was a Black woman millionaire. And when I worked with her, I was actually making $1 million and I didn't even realize it, because my set point at the time was 250, right?
Yeah.
And that was my pattern, right? Yeah. And then she brought me into the awareness, but the awareness came because I was in the environment.
Yeah.
It happens different for everybody. I'm just explaining to you what happened with me.
Yeah.
But I love that you brought it up, Carol, because I don't think people are aware that they have a financial set point that has to be adjusted in order for them to get to the next level. And most coaches out there are teaching, okay, if you want to be $1 million, do. And when they see that it's not working, and they're wondering why, they're not realizing it's because they have a financial set point. They have a ceiling. They have a ceiling that they got to get past. It's actually a block in the subconscious mind that has to get rewired so that you can move to the $1 million.
You bring up something so important there. So I have a free book club, and we just finished the last chapter in a book called Believe It by Jamie Kern Lima. Mm-hmm. So if you give out books, highly recommend this, because in the last chapter, she refers to, similar to Gay Hendricks, exactly what a lot of coaches and speakers refer to as a temperature set point. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say that, your temperature set point, your comfort zone with your air conditioner is 74 degrees. And this is something where financially, this is your 74 degrees. So until you've reached 74 degrees, you're going to be doing things to adjust your temperature to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your air conditioning system is going to be making adjustments to get to 74 degrees. But
Mm-hmm.
let's say, instead you want to get cooler in your house and go to 72 degrees, and you've never been to 72 or 70 degrees. Then what happens inside of our systems is we'll be doing actions to get to that temperature. But if we're trying to go past that temperature, we'll be doing actions to come back
Mm-hmm.
to 74 degrees.
Yeah. Again, and that points to the awareness as well. It goes right back to awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
when you see yourself doing the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't like this term. I don't like this term. I'm going to use it for this context right now. That's where the self-sabotaging comes in, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
why don't you like that term?
I don't think it's a self-sabotage, because again, if you're in the awareness of the thing, right? Yeah. If you're in the awareness of the thing, well, it's a choice.
Right. I get that. Okay, so I think
it's a choice, because if you are aware of the thing and you're choosing, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Last night, and it's a simple example. Last night, oh my gosh, I wanted a nothing bun cake in the worst way. Right? I wanted a nothing bun cake in the worst way, and I sat there. You should have seen it. You remember I told you I'm the observer? So I'm sitting there and I'm going,
picture this.
And I'm going,
we can all relate, right?
Right? I'm looking at my clock. The store closes at 7 o'clock, and it's 6:34. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm going, this is a conversation in my head. Okay, I can get up, go downstairs, grab the car, go. I get there by 6:55. Yes. Yeah. Right? Or I had just peeled with all the things that happened yesterday. One of my self-soothing technique was to peel a pineapple. Right?
You know, that sounds good. Yeah.
If you peel the pineapple, that is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking, do I go to the nothing bun cake within more than enough time to grab it? That red velvet, chocolatey goodness, moisture. It's, oh my gosh, it's going down in me right now. I'm eating it right now, right?
Yeah.
Or do I go to the refrigerator? I had some watermelon cut up, some grapes that were washed, and the chopped up pineapples that I just cleaned.
Yeah.
So I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Do I go get that or that? It's a choice.
Right.
It's not self-sabotage.
Well, here's one of the things I think that's from a neuroscience perspective on self-sabotage, if you'll permit me. Our systems have this beautiful, sophisticated subconscious, right? And the subconscious is not just in the brain, it is throughout the body. So we are body, mind, spirit. So what happens is we get faulty programming wired in. And the way that our systems see keeping our subconscious safe is by protecting whatever is in there, even the faulty programming. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that we start to understand this. When we're growing and changing, we're moving beyond our set point. And our whole system is going to come around to resist that. We will actually get neurochemicals, neurotransmitters that will come in line to keep that old pattern safe and to keep us stuck. And that's why we get so uncomfortable when we grow. But I think one of the ways we can view self-sabotage is as that's what's happening. It's the resistance that's occurring. So, for example, some of the resistance I've had has been I wasn't sleeping well. I'm in a stage of a new level of growth for myself, and I always want to stay in that stage. Who doesn't want to grow? But it was something to recognize where the reason that the self-sabotage is occurring is it's a form of resistance to get me back to that set point, right?
We're saying the same thing. It just sounds different. My
Yeah.
listening, it's the
Mhm.
same conversation
Yeah.
because the resistance in the resistance, you're talking about the neurochemicals, right? The
Yeah.
neurochemicals are the indicators. The
Mm.
neurotransmitters are the indicators. They're just indicating, okay, right now, this I can protect you and keep you safe
Yeah.
in where you want to be, or you can grow and shift into. That's why I say it's a choice.
Yeah,
The-
I like the way you put that because our brains are also, and our bodies are actually wired for reward. We
yep.
are wired for that.
Mhm.
So what happens with the neurochemicals is they're giving you a reward for
Mhm.
for not growing,
Yep.
to protect that beautiful, sophisticated system. But when we recognize that, you're absolutely right. You're leaning into exactly what neuroplasticity is.
Mhm.
We have a choice.
Yep.
So when we grow, then we can do things to reward ourselves. And I'll bet you are talking to a bunch of high achievers like yourself. And we high achievers, what do, Lorna?
Mhm.
Goal next. Goal
Next,
next. We never stop,
slow down. Yeah.
acknowledge, and celebrate. And when
Yeah.
we do that, when we acknowledge what we're doing and we celebrate, we are then changing the cycle of, rather than getting reward in the way we've gotten it, we're giving ourselves reward to grow, to get out of the old faulty programming. And so,
Mhm.
we're sophisticated systems. We're super, but the process is simple. We still have choice. You're absolutely right
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah. So in your world, what are some of the the other systems around reprogramming this belief system around success and money? What are some of, is there any other, 'cause again, it sounds simple, right? But we
Yeah.
want to talk to everybody's brain.
Yeah.
So some people can just say, oh, that's too simple. And when you're talking to and working with those, again, high achievers who think that, everything gets to be hard, right?
Yeah.
How do you support, what's the one thing that you use to rewire that belief system?
Yeah. Well, I don't just use one thing. That's it. I love the question. What I was going to say earlier is, um, looking at things from just a strictly manifesting or a law
Yeah.
of attraction
Yeah.
kind of mindset, I found things to be very nebulous.
Mhm.
And it was like, oh, my best friend's therapist told her to do this. So now I'm trying it. Oh, I saw this Instagram reel. So now I'm trying it. So what I do specifically is I give you a step-by-step reprogramming process with those universal wealth laws so that you have a system that's measurable and you can go from A to B.
I love that.
And it's the process really of neutralizing and erasing
Mhm.
those old wiring, those neurons, those neural highways that are limiting beliefs, and replacing those with the truth about us, that we're valuable, that we're enough, we're worthy, we're safe. And
Mhm.
where do we find our safety when circumstances are uncertain? What are circumstances? Circumstances are merely a reflection of belief.
Yep.
And so starting to go through a process, and it's a specific process. It's a simple process, but it's not necessarily easy. So this, just like what you do, when you're with a community of people that are doing it together and you're elevating together, it shifts the whole energy and it makes everything happen faster. Working
Yes.
with a mentor who believes in you, when you come in and you work with me, I absolutely believe in you. When you can't see it yourself, when your vision still might be cloudy. So we go through a process of uncovering clarity, crystal clarity around your vision and your identity, and then
Yes.
the
Yes.
neural wealth method as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about identity. We do so much of the same thing, but identity is
Yeah,
another
we do.
huge
We really do.
piece.
Yeah.
Identity is, and I don't think, again, a lot of people are identifying with exterior things versus their internal identity. I think that most of the world, um, because I, even myself,
Yeah.
last week we had, Jamaica 63. It was celebration of our 63rd year of independence from British rule. And I found myself, taking part online in the celebration, right?
Mhm.
That's
I
part
love
of
that.
my identity, but that's because I was born there. Now, don't get me wrong, I have shifted paradigms around certain things, belief systems around the culture, but there are a lot of people who who have not and will not and refuse to. I was talking to a friend of mine and client right after this celebration, and it was a political conversation, and I had to walk into the conversation saying that I'm not either side. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the person and how they're showing up in the
Yeah.
world and how they're representing themselves and
Yeah.
the Jamaican people, right? So and then she was like, "Oh, I am," da, 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 da," and she was like, standing there, and that's my party, and I'm not shifting it. So identity is a huge, huge piece of this neuroplasticity thing that we do.
It is.
I believe that if people are, and one of the things I've noticed, Carolyn, let me hear your take on this. Some of the clients that I've worked with, when they're so steeped in that old identity, it's because
Yes.
they got to do the work themselves. It's a little bit difficult to shift them out of it. What do you say about that?
I think you bring up a really beautiful point. It's that we get to decide, and not everybody's going to decide the way we might desire for them to. But I do believe that the work that we're doing does spread that energy and ultimately impact.
Mhm.
And one of the ways I have found this to show up is, and it happens with my clients, is when we're making these positive and powerful changes for ourselves to heal
Mhm.
and to step into who we're fully meant to be, then people around us may not be ready for those changes and may be very resistant to them. And that's what you were experiencing, right? And
Mhm.
so there's a book by Carol Dweck, and she goes into it about fixed mindsets and open mindsets. And some people
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
a greater propensity to want to choose change. One of the reasons this happens that I believe is really fundamental is we've all experienced some sort of trauma. The majority of us have in our lives. And when you've experienced trauma, particularly big T trauma, then when you control things, you feel safe,
Safe.
right? It gives you a sense of certainty. And in leadership, we know that there is an appropriate form of control
Mhm.
versus the way I articulate this or define this is being controlling versus being in control.
Yeah,
So you want
yeah.
to be in control, but you don't want to be controlling.
Mhm.
But we get controlling when we think we can handle everything and it makes us feel like we've got certainty and we've got safety, but it's
Mhm.
actually counterintuitive. Again, it's not really
Mhm.
taking us to the healing that we're meant to have. So when
Yeah.
you're in that state, you may be really digging in your heels dogmatically. we get to decide our perspectives in this planet,
Yeah.
and that's your perspective, and
Yeah.
that's it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
planting seeds in the garden and shifting
Yes.
your own energy
Yeah.
help people to be at least more aware of what's possible. And then they get to decide, they get to
Yeah.
choose. Do I want
Yeah.
to go forward with this? Do I want to be open-minded? Or do I want to stay absolutely in my position no matter what?
Yeah. That's the pain over the pleasure, right? Pain
Yeah,
pleasure principle. Yeah. Got it. All right. So I cannot believe we're almost at the end of our
me
time.
too.
This is so fun for me. Oh my gosh. So before we check out, I just wanted to ground a few things for the audience, right?
Yeah,
Because this entire conversation, there are a couple of words that were pretty prominent and common and kind of like was a through line for the conversation.
yeah,
Um, Values, beliefs, the neuroplasticity, the shift in the paradigm. Well, you're hearing this language, and I want to make sure that the audience gets to understand
yeah,
what it means, right, and how to activate these things if they have not been working on these pieces before in their lives, right? Aside from coming to work with one of us,
yeah,
okay? How do you simply activate these ways of transformation, for lack of a better other
yeah.
word, right?
Um, yeah.
Uh,
You,
Go ahead, and
you
then I'll
said
go
it.
back.
I mean,
Start. Uh-huh.
you go ahead. I don't want to miss anything. Uh,
So I want to make sure that they understand language is a part of it.
yeah,
What in the process of, because I want to give them takeaways. I want them to hear this conversation.
yeah,
It be new for a lot of people, so I want to make sure that they have some kind of first context and then
yeah.
something for them to take action on to start the process of
Mhm.
transforming and figuring out either their values, their beliefs, their identity, right? How to shift their perspective, their mindset, reset, how to
Yeah.
rewire that. And I'm saying language is one of the first things that I teach my clients. You got to start listening to yourself more,
Mm,
right? Most people speak, but they don't hear themselves. So
right.
I'm giving them a tool. That's a tool that you can use to start rewiring a belief,
Yeah.
a belief in yourself, right? So you go now, your turn.
Okay.
Give them one little
Um,
nugget that they can use right away that will be an immediate win for them.
right. I talked about vision.
Yeah.
A lot of times when somebody comes up and asks you, "What's your vision?" You can some of us kind of freeze. I did. My vision. I'm not sure. But
Exactly.
one of the key takeaways you can do to start to tap into what your vision might be and gain clarity on it is to start to think in terms of your why.
Hmm.
So you have something in there in your heart that is important to you because you have a why around it.
Yeah.
So if you can just start to ask yourself, I'm not sure what my vision is. Why would I even want to have a vision? Who would I want to help and why?
Hmm.
How would I want to help myself and why? So, centering your questions around why can be
Hmm.
really powerful.
Yeah. That's part of the process, right? And
Yeah.
Carol, I didn't know you were experiencing that too, because I've been experiencing when I ask people, "What's your vision?" They're like, "What? Nobody ever asked me that before." And it blows my mind, right? That
Yeah.
nobody's asking anybody what their
Yeah.
vision is, which is the other reason why, it's not just strategy, y'all. This is the conversation I want you to get. It's not just strategy for
Yeah.
business. It's the wiring, it's the belief, it's your identity that you got to really unpack to kind of like blow it up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, what's one thing that you would want to leave with the audience today, Carol? What's one quote that you would want to leave with the audience, kind of like keep them in this momentum of this conversation?
Well, I think the work you're doing is so incredibly powerful and important. And, we're very much in alignment with the type of work that we do. And um, you're you asked me about success, right, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about that, the quote I would leave you is that don't make a permanent decision in a temporary situation.
Yeah.
And go think in terms of yourself being successful when look at that, when you've got maybe a challenge or a difficult circumstances going on. I want you to know you were not stuck in those circumstances. You do have the power of choice. And I really think you, Lorna, hit the nail on the head when you start to look at things through the lens of success. And so really pay attention to that, and pay attention to where you can maybe make a temporary decision in a temporary situation, a minute thing, a baby step, um, and do it in terms of starting to think about what success means to you, right? And leaning into what this show is all about. So I think that's really key.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. That is so powerful, so powerful. And that's all taking ownership. That
Yeah.
if I could say it in 3 words, take ownership.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here, Carol. Before we check
Thank you.
out, this was so much fun for me. Because first of all, when we get on the phone, it's like 2 hours later.
That's right.
We get off. So this is just like a part of it, especially when we haven't caught up in a while. So to the audience, I thank you for being here. I hope this conversation has been super valuable to you. And I would love. My request for you is to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and family so that we all get into alignment with shifting the consciousness of this planet. And here's my quote that I want to leave with you today. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe is safe to receive.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say that one again. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe it's safe to receive. So shift that belief and it'll shift everything for you. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, and share. And we'll catch you next week, y'all. Take care.
Bye.